Hello, I'm General Waffles of the Breakfast Brigade. Let's talk about doing well in Ranked. This is going to be a short series I'm putting out for just general tips about the game and questions that new or more advanced players may have. It's going to start off with more beginner type information, and I'm going to be moving into more advanced type information. The videos that we'll be playing in the background of these videos will be Rank 1 Hero League matches for anyone that cares, but will be mostly unrelated. So anyway, Ranked. Ranked is different from Quick Match in a lot of ways. One, you have to be level 30 to get in, 30 out of 40 levels, and you have to have X number of heroes available, owned, to actually partake in it. And there's a lot of reasons for this. One, you should not try to jump into Ranked when you're trying to learn the game. If you're very new, if this is your very first MOBA, do not expect to go into Ranked at rank 30. You should not do this. What you want to do is you want to actually build up your knowledge of the game and the characters in the game before you jumped in. For example, there are 4 roles in the game. Not plainly so, but etched out a little bit. You got your assassins, warriors, specialists, and supports. Now, in Ranked, unlike Quick Match, you get a draft mode pick of who's going to be picked. And this is very important to know because Quick Match, you can just pick whatever you want and the game matches you with the team. So this way you may not actually get whoever you're really good with. Say you played every single game with Illidan. Like you only have ever played Illidan and you think that you're going to jump into Hero League and you're going to play Illidan. It doesn't really work that way. You can't work around that way. You can't go into Hero League, into Ranked, and expect to always get what you want. That's not how it works. You have a team, they have picks, you have picks, the enemy team has picks, and you need to learn how to work around that. I would suggest learning 4 characters, 1 in each role. That way you can be somewhat versatile in your picks. That way if your prize pick gets picked up by the enemy team or your fellow teammates, you have something to fall back on. Also, if you're further down in the pick order, you have something that you can fill with. If your other teammates want to play specific roles, you can pick, say you want to play Illidan, but your team already has 3 assassins for some reason, and a warrior. So your team needs support. If you don't know how to play support, then your team's just going to suffer and you're going to suffer a loss, most likely. Now, I would personally recommend, what I do is I've learned 3 heroes in each role. This way, no matter what, I will always get a hero that I know how to play. And this is very important because playing a hero that you know is better than playing a hero that's good. Now I'll talk about that a little bit more later. For now, in the draft mode, because you should be learning these roles, you should have knowledge of your characters, so you should want to be flexible. You want to be able to work with your team to play to their strengths as well as your strengths. If you're really good at warrior, say that. Make sure you're talking to the team, because a little bit of conversation goes a long way to helping a team achieve victory. This is a team game. Remaining silent is not helping your team. They can't know what you're good at, what you're going to be doing, what you want to do. So you need to tell them. And you're not always going to be able to work, your team isn't always going to be able to work around what you want. So sometimes you have to work around what they want. Sometimes you do need to play that support role. Sometimes you do need to step in and be a warrior. These are just things that you should be willing to accept going forward into Ranked. Being a person that is like, oh, I'm just going to AFK after I didn't get my hero, I didn't get my role. Like, this is just going to drop you ranks. You're going to just drop games. No one's having fun at that point. Your team isn't going to be having fun yelling at you like that. No one wants to feel like they need to cater to you. And that comes to my second point a little bit. You should learn all the abilities of the game before you jumped into Hero League. Now, starting the game out, you have Quick Match. If you're not that big of a player of MOBAs, or you didn't read about all the heroes, or you don't keep up with all that, then that's a really good place to learn it. However, ranked are for people that kind of want to move forward. They want to be achieving something, they want to win. And going into it without knowing all of the hero's abilities, you should know every single ability across the board, every passive, and every little thing that there is to know about a hero. It's to say, like, if you're matched against, again, Illidan, you should know that he has abilities to dive on top of you and to leap across you and sustain. You should be able to know that so you can play around it. Say you're playing Lili against Illidan, if you don't know that he relies mostly on his auto attacks, then you may not want to save your blind for it. That's a gross oversimplification, mind you, but it's important nonetheless to know all the character's abilities to be able to play around them. And this comes a lot into how you position. Learning positioning will come with learning characters, roles, and ability counters. You know not to stand next to certain heroes, but you know that you can trade with other heroes. This all comes with learning your hero. You want to be able to learn your hero to know what your limitations are against other heroes and for yourself. You don't want to overextend. You want to know what your escape routes are going to be, and you want to be able to know that you're safe going forward. Some characters, like Nazeebo, don't have escapes, so positioning is everything. Nova is a character that a lot of people get really upset about, but a lot of people don't realize that, one, Nova's not invisible. You can see stealth units if you look close enough. With a little bit of practice, you'll be able to see them fairly well. But two, because she doesn't have an escape, you have to rely on your positioning. And knowing when you can go in with these squishier rolls and when you can't can make a big difference in your play. Just like knowing who to heal and when to heal as support, or how to engage and when to fall back to peel for your team as a warrior is really important. And learning your abilities, as well as your opponents' and teammates' abilities, is going to do wonders. If you're new to MOBAs, I would recommend getting at least 10 heroes up to level 8 before you even step in. Just because I think it's that important. However, if you're fairly good with MOBAs, it's not as big of a deal because you can pick it up for the most part, similar to games like League of Legends. Not very similar to Dota. Dota has a lot different abilities. A lot higher impact, higher cooldown. But getting back to the topic. When you learn abilities, you should also learn some synergies. Some characters have abilities to synergize really well with each other. In a very organized ranked, you will see this with teams that will pick things that don't often make sense. They will pick things that synergize with each other, but only with a lot of practice. Such as a recent game where a Brightwing was able to get a lot of value against Jaina's and Kel'Thas's with her Pixie Dust. Now this is important to know. Sometimes you can combo. Some abilities are innately comboable, such as Zeratul Void Prison, Zagara's Maw. These things give you an opportunity to easily combo without much effort or without much foresight. And it's really good to know to save your abilities for that to come out, to get the Maw, to get the Gravo Bomb, etc. Also, when you're able to learn the timing of these abilities, you should be able to know that a Void Prison lasts for 5 seconds, unless cancelled earlier, and a Maw lasts for 4 seconds. So you know exactly when to use your abilities. That's going to help a lot. This also comes with working with your team. Now, you can have all the best heroes in the game, you can have all the best synergies in the game, but if you don't play with your team, and you try to lone wolf it the entire game, you're just going to have your team suffer, you're going to suffer, and eventually you're going to lead to more losses than wins. A lot of this game revolves around teamwork. If you have a player that's a weak link, he's not very good, or what have you, this isn't an opportunity to get mad, it's an opportunity to talk to him and kind of tell him what he needs to be doing or where he needs to be. don't yell at him and say that you're an idiot, you're stupid, you're doing dumb things. This isn't helpful. Tell him position further in the back, or try to peel for so-and-so. These are the kind of things you need to work with your team. Pings are a great way to work with your team without typing a lot, because you can ping that you're going to Golem or ping that you're going somewhere. And if you think it's a bad idea, if someone on your team pings to go to Golem, to the boss, you could ping a retreat ping to know that not only are you not going there, but you think that you should retreat from that situation. And paying attention to these pings is important because it is people trying to communicate with their team. Now, more than just learning the heroes, you need to learn the maps. Unlike League of Legends, there are many maps in the game, and they all have different strategies, heroes that are good with them, and objectives. And you need to learn that before you actually step into rank. You should be able to know what you need to do on every map. You should be able to know the eccentricities of every map. For example, one of the big ones that a lot of people miss when they're first starting out, it's not obvious, on the Haunted Mines, for the first Golem, if you get your siege minions as the golems reach the first gates, or the second gates, the fort gates, if you take the camp at that exact moment, they will walk out and be able to stand behind your gate safe and kill their golem, and it adds a lot of extra damage, and this adds a really big advantage to your team if you do this. And these are the type of things that you need to learn. Every map is different, every map needs different strategies, and not all heroes work on every map. Some maps, again, the Cursed Hollow, the Haunted Mines, not the Cursed Hollow, make some characters actually overpowered. Sylvanas, for instance, makes the Cursed Mines overpowered. She's overpowered on that map simply because of her passive. On other maps, it's completely fine. But on that map, she changes the game in such a way that you need to pay attention to. She can take the objective and push it to be something more than it already is. And she's not the only character that can affect this. The Lost Vikings on the Cursed Hollow, very good at spreading out and getting that XP. And just knowing these things will help you immensely. Now, you're probably wondering, especially if you're new, how do you find out all these things? Well, HOTS Logs is a great source for finding out information about the game. About matchups, about talent choices, what other people are doing, what other people have tried to do, and the success rates thereof. It's not perfect, but it's a very good position to look at and get a good feel for what's going on. However, you should not look at HOTS Logs or any other comparable site and just look at the best hero, or the hero with the highest win rate, and think that you should immediately pick this hero up and play him in rank. Knowing a hero can be overpowered, but also be only overpowered in the hands of somebody that knows what they're doing with them. You have to do things with them to make them overpowered. One of the heroes that actually gets away with that is Thrall when he was first released, because you pushed a button and you basically won the game. You picked up one talent and it was basically game over. But a lot of characters like the Lost Vikings, Abathur, Murky, are characters that have gone in and out of being overpowered and underpowered. And the reasons for this were players were able to use their skills and strategies with them to put them in situations that made their skill sets overpowered. Murky in particular, figuring out what to do with him in the meta, figuring out where to be and what to be doing is very important. Otherwise, you could just end up walking in team fights and dying immediately and accomplishing very little. So look at the meta listings and know the matchups, but don't use this as a hard and fast guide for what you should be doing. Don't just say, Leoric has the highest win rate, we need to pick Leoric or else we're going to lose. That's not what makes Leoric have a high win rate. Leoric in particular has a very strong kit, very strong abilities, and he's fairly easy to use. And that's why he's up where he is. However, if you don't know what you're doing with him and you haven't taken him up to, say, level 6, level 7 in Quick Match, then maybe you shouldn't be playing him in Hero League, right? It goes a lot longer to know a hero and play them and do well with them rather than playing a metagame hero. Stitches right now has one of the lowest win rates in the game, if not the lowest currently. And you can still get wins with him. This is because Stitches is a character that has a specific set of skills that can be taken advantage of to win games. But only if you and your team can set up these certain situations. And knowing if you can do that versus if you can't all comes from practice, possibly watching somebody that knows how to play the game. There's a lot of tips and tricks out there, and you should take advantage of them if you're going into Hero League. If you're not going in to try to win, just stick with Quick Match, and this is what you should be doing. And once you get a good feel for the game, you know the maps, you know some of the matchups, good and bad, and you know some heroes, then maybe it's time to step into ranked and start trying a little bit. So basically, don't blindly follow a meta list. Just get the actual skills yourself, and that'll go much further than just trying to play the best hero. If you agree or disagree with anything that I've said, feel free to tell me in the comments or message me directly. But until then, till next time.